radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. All right, Fade to Black. Bespoke Radio for the masses. Man, how you doing? Today's Monday, March 1st, 2021. 60 days into the new year. Only 305 days left. We are live from a bunker. A bunker that is somewhere in the middle of beautiful downtown Burbank, California. And I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world. All across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south. Far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the planets. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? Another great week. An amazing week. Next week is amazing, too. Whoa. But before I get too deep into the show tonight, I want to say congratulations to Stacy and Dan. That is Stacy with an I with a heart on it. Stacy and Dan just saw a picture of their new grandson, William. And let me tell you something. It don't get no better than that. It just doesn't. Right there. Literally came in at 6:59. Congratulations, Stacy and Dan, grandparents. Wow. That's amazing. And we have two daughters. And they're both at that age, right? Man, I want to be a granddad so bad, and so does Rita. But there's another part of me is like, man, can we hold off on that for just a minute? It's not about being a grandparent. It's making sure our daughters are. I just don't want them to get married. Can I just say that out loud? I just don't, man. Let me tell you something. When it comes to the grumpy dad and meeting your daughter's boyfriend, man, I'm not that dude. I'm not Mr. Fun Guy. No. All right. I got that off my chest. Congratulations, Stacey and Dan. That is the most wonderful news that anybody can have, and we're very blessed in our family to have these grandkids and great nieces and it's incredible to go through. Okay, so it just made my day, made my night. There you go, Fader Knots. Everybody congratulate Stacy and Dan. That's just incredible. I don't know if they posted pictures. And I just flashed that up on the bunker cam. I hope that's cool. But there you go. All right. An amazing week we've got coming up. Tonight, John DeSouza is here. Now, John is... we've got a lot to talk about with John. And, of course, FBI agent retired, right? John DeSouza. And this recent American Airlines flight number 2292 and its UFO sighting that happened last Sunday and is now under investigation with the FBI. So we will be talking about that in depth tonight. We're going to be talking about disclosure. We're going to be talking about the media, the UAP Task Force. What is going on with disclosure? Is AA 2292 part of this? I find the type of sighting, of course, the type of sighting and the timing of the sighting suspect. Now, I'm just saying, I believe the sighting is genuine. I do. Why is the FBI investigating it, right? But the timing of it and the type of sighting is strange to me. Strange. Maybe it's ET's agenda. I don't know. Tomorrow night, I am so looking forward to this show. The one and only Jim Harold is here. And I know everybody out there is excited about this. Of course, he is the longtime host of the Paranormal Podcast and one of the great podcasts out there, one of the first too. And he's, of course, got Jim Harold's Campfire. He's got Podlords. He's got Soulmate Stories. He is a very, very busy media host and absolutely, hands down, one of the best out there, one of the most respected. So Jim Harold is here with us tomorrow night. Wednesday night, we have author and researcher Matthew Bailey joining us. He's got a new book out. It is called Inventing World 3.0, Evolutionary Ethics for Artificial Intelligence. Matthew is a consultant, advisor, researcher for governments and institutions around the world. He is one of the most respected minds out there when it comes to artificial intelligence and the projects that he is working on. This is a huge show. This is Wednesday night. Thursday is another Fader night with open lines all night long. The call-in number is 747-228-2051. We'll see everybody there. Now, an amazing week. And what is lining up for next week, I'm very, very excited about. And, I'm so excited. Maybe Thursday night we'll do a sneak peek. Okay? All right. Everybody wants their own crystal skull. And over the weekend, finally had a chance to relax. It's been very busy around here the last couple of weeks, as everybody knows. And so I got a little social media time in messing around. And I'm looking at Carolyn Ford's offerings and what she has got over at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. And I wish I could have them all. I'm serious. Rita and I were talking about this, and we're like, man, did you see that? Did you see this one? How about this one? Incredible stuff. And you've got to go to EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. You've got to head over there and check out what she has got. Her inventory is the absolute best. And when you find a skull, just use the promo code Jimmy, Jimmy. It's all you got to do. 10% off of your next Crystal Skull order. And you can do all of that over at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. The links are at JimmyChurchRadio.com. And there you go. Let's get things started. Got a lot to talk about tonight. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio, at JChurchRadio. The sandbox is hashtag F2B on Twitter. It's live in front of me. Hello to everybody over on YouTube and Facebook and the Bunker Cam. We've got the Spreaker chat room. We have KGRA. Of course, we have Twitter live in front of me. So there you go. Come and hang out and engage during the show tonight. Any questions during the show, use hashtag F2BQ. And what did Sarah Ann just post? What is Sarah Ann? What? Oh man, Sarah Ann, you are funny. That's a funny gif right there. Okay, if you want to check out all the latest gifs that everybody posts during the show, hashtag F2B. That's all you got to do right there. Hashtag F2B. You can also email Jimmy at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Let's get to the breaking news. A former underground nuclear bunker. Now, I've seen the pictures. It's incredible. Wait till you get to the end of this news story. It's incredible. A former underground nuclear bunker with 56 bedrooms, 2 stories, underground, sealed. Everything is there. Has gone on sale in Devon, United Kingdom. The bunker, known as Hope Cove Bunker, is situated near Salcombe in Devon and was constructed in 1941 to be used as a Second World War radar station. However, with the threat of a nuclear attack during the Cold War, the structure was redeveloped in the 1950s into a regional government base. The base remained on standby until the 1990s and would have been able to accommodate 250 government workers should there have been an attack on the United Kingdom. The bunker is on sale at the bargain price of £435,000, or about $600,000 US. And that, 56 bedrooms, air filtration system, and it's nice. That seems incredibly cheap to me. $600,000, not $10 million, right? $600,000. And I hope that there's somebody over in the United Kingdom right now, fate or not, that is going, really? What? What? Devon? What? Yeah, okay, let me give it to you one more time. It's called the Hope Cove Bunker. Somebody go make an offer on that. Come on, fate or nots. Let's get 56 rooms, right? We could have the ultimate fate or not getaway weekend. Think about that. That's where my brain goes immediately. I'm like, the fate or nots, man. We all get together underground, sky watch at night. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Go and check it out. All right, now here we go. I got some UFO news. In 2020, Idaho looked to the skies and saw lots of weird things. They experienced UFOs, a lot of them. A recent tally by satelliteinternet.com showed that Idaho ranked number 1 in UFO sightings per capita in 2020. Even more than, what about New Mexico, Jimmy? More than New Mexico. That's right. Idaho, above everything. You think about Roswell. They've got a museum, right? The Roswell ranked 5th. Idaho logged 164 sightings in 2020. Thousands more were tallied across the nation. But I know what you're saying right now. You're saying, but Jimmy, what's the rank? What's the top 10? Well, I've got it right here. This is the top 10 sightings of UFOs in the United States per capita. Number 10, Connecticut. Number 9, Washington State. Number 8, Hawaii. Number 7, Wyoming. Number 6, Vermont. Number 5, I just mentioned New Mexico. Number 4, Maine. Number 3, New Hampshire. Number 2, Montana. Number 1, Idaho. Absolutely incredible. California. Okay, now, dead last, 50 states. Dead last, Texas. Dead last, Texas. California, which had a huge amount of sightings, is probably number 1 overall. But the capita here, we've got too many people. California was like number 45. Way down the list. All right. The Lamborghini of chariots has been discovered at Pompeii. Calling it an exceptional discovery, researchers at Pompeii have announced the uncovering of an ancient ceremonial chariot from a villa near the famous Italian archaeological site. Now, the announcement came on Saturday, called the Chariot an extraordinary find that has no parallel in Italy thus far. The Chariot is preserved in remarkable detail. The pictures are absolutely incredible, with 4 iron wheels, metal armrest and backrests, and a seat perched atop that could sit 1 or 2 people. Absolutely incredible. It's incredible. It's kind of blue. It's got all these medallions on it. Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Let's get the show cracking. Happy birthday to today, the one and only Ron Howard. Ron Howard today is 67. Rock icon Roger Daltrey today is 77. Reggae OG Burning Spear today is 73. And I cannot believe he's younger than Roger Daltrey. I cannot. Been a Burning Spear fan forever. Skid Row OG Stickman Rob Afuso today is 58. That's right. I'll remember you. That's right. Gin Blossom bassist Bill Lean today is 59. I was in the studio with the Gin Blossoms back in, this was around 1995, and this is my memory, is that we were recording. I was just there. I wasn't actually doing the recording. My friend Billy was. Billy Siegel, recording backup vocals for their new album, the follow-up to the big hit, whatever that was called. So anyway, we're in the studio recording, and he's out there. I'm behind the glass with Billy when a friggin' car crashed into the studio. It was Bill Lee on vocals, and we're on the back half of the studio. I remember looking through the glass, and the whole building shakes. He's got headphones on. He's cutting vocals. And this car crashes into the studio through these walls and everything. It was incredible. That's like 2 crashing car stories into buildings that I've shared with you this week. Our dead guy's birthday today, Alan Thicke, 1947 to 2016, died at the age of 69. Alan, of course, was an actor and a game and talk show host. He's also known as the father of singer Robin Thicke. In 2013, he was inducted into Canada's Walk of Fame. For me, he will always be Dr. Jason Seaver on the 1980 sitcom Growing Pains. It was on December 13th, 2016, when Alan collapsed while playing ice hockey with his son Carter at the Pickwick Gardens right here in Burbank, California, and died later that day of type A aortic dissection at the Providence St. Joseph Medical Center, also right here in Burbank at the age of 69. On this day in history, OTD 1966, Venera 3, a Soviet probe launched from Kazakhstan, crashes on Venus. Although Venera 3 failed in its mission to measure the Venusian atmosphere, it was the first unmanned spacecraft to reach the surface of another planet. Fader fact. Okay, you ready? Need you to think about this one. Drivers with more expensive cars are less likely to yield to pedestrians. A study has found that the likelihood of yielding goes down by 3% for every extra $1,000 in car value. That's right. And so the lesson here is never step in front of a moving Rolls Royce or Ferrari. All right. Tonight, very special guest John DeSouza joins us. We're going to be talking about the recent UFO sightings by American Airlines 2292. We're going to be talking about the UAP Task Force and what is going on with that. Tomorrow night, Jim Harold is here, of course, the host of the Paranormal Podcast. Wednesday night, author and researcher Matthew Bailey is here. We're going to be talking about his new book, which I do have. It is called Inventing World 3.0, Evolutionary Ethics for Artificial Intelligence. Thursday, another Fader night with open lines all night long. Now, do you see that post today of 20 pounds of River Moon Fade to Black blend delivered to a Fader knot? You like that? 20 pounds of beans. You got to love it. I'm going to hit mine right now. Yep. rivermoonwellness.com. Promo code F2B Blend, 15% off of your order today. Visit the Amazon store too. All of the links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. All right. So last week, during our AMA, there were a few questions that were posted about people wanting to hear rock and roll stories. And I caught them again over the weekend because I just told you I had social media time. I was relaxing and I was actually reading social media. I was actually spent an hour or two scrolling with my cell phone. And I caught these questions again. And you know who you are if you posted them. And I thought about it a lot. So I'm thinking to myself, every story that is actually pretty cool and totally rock and roll that you want to hear can't be told. They're all just too rock and roll, right? They involve something that, well, just shouldn't be shared. At least not on a public radio show that is listened to by all ages. This is a family. This is family programming, and you know what I mean. So I really gave this some thought. Do they all have to have the crazy attached to them? I know what you want to hear. I know that. You got to hit me in private time at a conference. But they all don't have to have the crazy. They don't. So I'm going to share this feel-good story with you. And yes, it's totally rock and roll. When we were on tour with Soundgarden, we pulled into Atlanta, and we arrived at our hotel. And as I was getting off of our bus, it was a big RV. I'm getting off of that. And Chris Cornell, singer of Soundgarden, was walking out of the hotel with a duffel bag, right? And I said, dude, where are you going? And he said, there's a laundromat right there. He goes, I'm washing my clothes. And he points over my shoulder. I'm not kidding. He's like, and I turn around and there is a laundromat, right? Literally right next to our hotel. It's down this little hill and there's a strip mall right next to right there is a friggin' laundromat. He looks at me, sees my bag, and said, do you want to wash your clothes too? And I said, absolutely. So instead of checking into the hotel, I turned around and walked down the hill, threw some grass to the laundromat with Chris. And we do everything. We get some change, buy some detergent, those little boxes. We do that. We empty our bags. We separate our colors from the whites, right? We fire up like 4 washing machines. And my memory says that we were like the only people in the laundromat at that time. And we sit and talk for like the next 2 or 3 hours. But yeah, we did the whole trip. Bounce, sheets, and all. Did everything. And I remember smelling the fresh clothes as we folded and stuffed our bags. And I made a mental note about how ripe we probably were at that moment with our dirty clothes on that we were wearing. So rock and roll. And, we're done. We split back to the hotel. Later that night, during the show, Chris and I did our thing on stage. He carried me around on his shoulder. Remember, back then I was 110 pounds wet, Carried me around on his shoulder during the song Kevin's Mom. And at that moment, before he threw me out into the crowd to surf, instead of thinking about how epic and rock and roll this was, this moment, I thought to myself, Chris, dude, you smell like bounce. It's a true story. Can't make this stuff up. And see, I told you, it's actually possible to have a clean rock and roll story. Really, really clean. And a little closure to this. I remember later on that night, Chris and I was after the show. I think we were back at the hotel, had a moment or whatever. But I remember looking, and he looked at me, and we saw each other's clean clothes. That literally a few hours before that, we were folding, and we had that moment of connection. Like, you feel fresh, huh? You feel fresh. It's true story. True story. So that's my clean rock and roll story. This is Fade to Black. We have got an amazing week coming up tonight. John DeSouza is here. We're going to be talking about the recent UFO sighting over New Mexico by American Airlines 2292 being investigated by the FBI right now. What is going on with this event? So we're going to be talking about that and all of the other UFO, UAP news, and of course the UAP Task Force and the report that's coming up. We're going to be talking about that. Is there an agenda going on here right now? So we're going to talk about that. Tomorrow night, Jim Harold, host of the Paranormal Podcast, is here. So excited about this. It's going to be great. And then Wednesday night, author and researcher Matthew Bailey is going to be here talking about his new book. It is called Inventing World 3.0. Evolutionary Ethics for Artificial Intelligence. It's a big night on Wednesday. You're not going to want to miss that. And of course, Thursday is another Fader night with open lines all night long. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. You can follow me on Twitter right now at JChurchRadio. I'll be right back after this short break with John DeSouza. Stay with me.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. Introducing the Game Changer blend from River Moon Coffee that delivers a customized blend made specifically for the Fadernauts. If the game is rigged, change the game. It's a bolder cup with some bite. Game Changer is the coffee of choice for those that prefer an organic dark roast that is slightly lighter and milder, but it's still dark. With wild notes of pecans and chocolate with a rich, balanced, full-bodied cup that is roasted to perfection for a great coffee to start your day, as an after-dinner coffee or anywhere in between. Artisan, small batch roasted to perfection. USDA certified organic, all River Moon coffee is freshly roasted and packaged in the USA. Just go to rivermooncoffee.com or click on the banners over on our site and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. rivermooncoffee.com.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact. KGRARadio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Hi, folks. It's troubling times, and fear is pushing emotions, which in turn pushes health the wrong direction. Do you ever get an ache because life is uneasy? Try Life Change Tea at GetTheTea.com. Life Change Tea works on your digestive tract, helping to move food through quicker and comfortably so your health is spot on. Life Change Tea may not help with world issues, but it will help with your digestive issues. A glass a day helps keep the intruders away. So, change your life today. Log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. If your health game is off, get on by ordering Life Change Tea. GetTheTea.com. And while you're on our site, look around at the great non-GMO organic supplements. And if you're a sales shopper, go to our specials page and see what's for you. I've been drinking the tea for 12 years and I'm sure glad for its health benefits. Again, that's GetTheTea.com. GetTheTea.com. The tea that makes you go.
Fadernauts. When you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. What a great week we've got lined up tonight. Of course, John DeSouza is here. Tomorrow night, Jim Harold. I know what you're thinking. How is it possible? Jim Harold. How did Jimmy Church pull that off? I did. Jim Harold's with us tomorrow night. Wednesday night, Matthew Bailey and his new book, Inventing World 3.0. It's a full night of artificial intelligence. But tonight it's about John DeSouza. John joins us to discuss the recent UFO encounter, American Airlines 2292, over New Mexico. We're going to dive deep into that and the current investigation that is going on with the FBI into the incident. We're also going to be talking about the UAP Task Force, the disclosure agenda. What is really going on? We're going to be talking about that, and, of course, the release of the report later on this summer to the Senate Intelligence Committee. John, FBI Special Agent, retired, worked counter-terrorism and paranormal cases for 25 years, also known as the X-Man. He lived through the true life X-Files that were used on the highly popular television show The X-Files. Today, he is revealing these stories, unexplained mysteries, and the paranormal. He's also the best-selling author of The Extra Dimensionals, an excellent book, by the way, and leading investigations into the paranormal and exopolitics. His website is johntamaBooks.com. The link is over at jimmychurchradio.com. And I would like to welcome back to Fade to Black our good friend, John DeSouza. John, good evening, man. You look great.
Hey, Jimmy. Wow, it is great to be here with you again on Fade to Black with you and all the Fadernauts and all the AAP pilots who listen in to you. It's awesome to be here. Good stuff, man. Great stuff.
Did you, all the UAP pilots? Oh, man, that is just too funny. I don't even know where to start with you, John. There is so much going on. And last weekend, when I was hosting the Conscious Life Expo. Okay, so that's going on all weekend. And I'm hosting Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And on Sunday, I get an email and a text, and I think it came in from two different sources. One of them was Jim Goodall, right? Okay, so it comes in, Jimmy, you got to check this out. Here's a link. And so I'm during one of the breaks, and I'm listening to the audio. I'm reading a little bit about the flight. Now, back then, it was breaking news, and it was fluid, John. So the source, I think it said it was out of Ohio. I think it turned out to be Kentucky or whatever. But there were some inaccuracies there. But I broke the news live at the Conscious Life Expo, and I said, this has everything in it to blow up and become a huge story this week. We're breaking it now. I don't know what the details are, but we'll start. And sure enough, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right? Everything just started to unfold with this. It's a pretty incredible case. Then there was the twist. The FBI is involved. So let's back up. Let's go back to when the story started to break. What did you think then as you heard the details and listened to the flight recording?
When I first listened to it, Jimmy, what I heard was really what sounded like, to me, a hostile missile attack on an American airliner. That's overall, when I just got the first impression of it, that's what I heard. And it took me back, unfortunately, it took me back to flight TWA 800 back in 1994, when we had some kind of bizarre action that went off of the coast of New York, Long Island, New York, with TWA airliner that was just taking off and just came out. And then witnesses said they saw some kind of projectile go up towards the airliner, and then the airliner blew up. However, on the ground, the investigations were stopped into these eyewitnesses. They were stopped, and the whole thing was ruled an accident. Back in 1994, and it was a really tragic circumstance that we were never allowed to get to the bottom of that. But that was my first impression initially when I heard about this flight, and I heard this pilot described what he said. What he said resembled a cruise missile that maybe had a near miss against the airliner.
The facts are, when we, it's over New Mexico, right? So for the UFO community, it's like, aha, okay, here we go. It's New Mexico. What's on the ground in New Mexico? We know about all of the military installations and testing, of course, White Sands. It then was revealed that this was about 400 miles from White Sands. And so for me, it almost took that out of the play immediately. Did you think about that White Sands was 400 miles away?
It didn't really occur to me until I started looking deeper into the reports more and more. When I started really looking into it, I saw the possibility that this could be some type of cylinder-based UFO that we're looking at here. But again, that's just a possibility. So we had to go further into it. And we had to also look at the fact that I think you played the recording.
I do. I have it here. Yes, I have it.
And one of the things that I would ask people, and this involves the FBI in this, why did if you listen to the whole phrase of what the pilot said, why did he say, I hate to say this, but this might be a cruise missile? And so my question to the Fadernauts and to you would be, why did he say that? Why did he say, I hate to say this, but? And the answer to that, I'm sure your audience knows, is because it's like dropping a bomb at an airport. You can't say something like that without it having great repercussions, and that's the exact reason why the FBI gave some kind of neutral statement on this, but they are investigating it. They have to, because the moment he said cruise missile, this became a national security matter. So that means it has to be investigated by the FBI and probably by other investigative organs of the government as well.
Now, what I found most revealing. Okay, actually, I have the recording here, and so I'm just going to play it just for reference, so the audience, if they are wondering what we are talking about, they can listen to it.
Have any targets up here? We just had something go right over the top of us that, I hate to say this, looked like a long cylindrical object. It almost looked like a cruise missile type of thing moving really fast that went right over the top of us.
Now, it's what he didn't say there. He didn't say he saw an airplane. He didn't say he saw a small Learjet or a small private plane. He didn't say that. He didn't describe wings. He didn't talk about noise. He didn't talk about a contrail, rocket engines. He didn't mention anything that a pilot should be able to identify what's up in the sky, right?
Right, but that can be accounted for by stress. When you're in a high stress situation,
right?
You don't talk, you don't blurt out details. You just kind of blurt out overall descriptions of stuff that you happen to catch out of the corner of your eye. That's pretty usual for high stress situations.
Sure, and you can hear the stress in his voice because he literally, I hate to say this, but it is a large cylindrical object. Now, by saying that, he's now a tinfoil hat wearing UFO nutcase, right? So he doesn't want to say that over the radio either, does he?
No, he definitely does not. However, we're in this crazy situation now in the modern era since last year, where UFOs are actually more acceptable to say than top secret weapons, which is the one which has now become the thing that we can't actually say, that we can't actually mention, despite all the data that's come back on the Tic Tacs, what people sometimes call the Go Fast, the gimbal incident that occurred in 2004, and we're not allowed to point out that these supposed Tic Tac UFOs that were encountered, they're super weapons. They're top secret super weapons out there on the Pacific Ocean that were being tested in the bosom of the Nimitz carrier group because they needed someplace safe to test those weapons.
So are you, before we move forward, I want to stop there for a second. Are you of the opinion that what went on with the Nimitz and the Roosevelt was not extraterrestrial and that was probably a top secret black weapons program being tested?
Oh, absolutely. That was not. Those were not. They were not UFOs in the sense of extraterrestrial. The Tic Tacs were absolutely top secret military drones that are in use at the U.S. Navy under a top secret program even today still, and they have extraordinary capacities. Those drones, I believe they're called. They're very similar to what we call the A-24, the A-24s, military drones that do not require very little human guidance on them, and that have capacities that we're just barely beginning to recognize the types of things that these Tic Tacs can do.
So are you then taking this a step further, and that what happened with AA-2292 may have been a weapons platform and not necessarily something extraterrestrial?
Yes, that's one of my possible investigative conclusions. That this weapon, this thing that was seen over 2292 airliner was possibly a Space Force asset that was being tested. Could be a Space Force asset, just like and also just like the Tic Tacs may have been as well. However, if it endangered the airliner by coming too close, then likely it was not part of Space Force. But it was, I do believe, and I'm giving you my final conclusion before before I go into other possibilities. But I do believe that this cylinder that was seen is part of the continuing UAP campaign to gin up fear of these UFOs that prove that we are not alone in the universe, and to lead us towards fear, to lead us towards being afraid of these UFOs and alien visitors in general. That's what I believe. That was one of my main conclusions on this.
I have heard, just like everybody else over the years, that if you are in a commercial airliner and you see another plane while you're flying, it's too close. You should never, ever see another plane. Now, I've done, just like you, I've done hundreds of flights, hundreds. I have no idea how many. And I have seen maybe one plane while I was flying, maybe two in the last, 30, 40 years. So if you see something, it's too close. And in this case, it flew directly over 2292.
Right. And I want to say that a true investigator has to investigate all possibilities. And of course, there's another possibility on this entire investigation, which is that, hey, it may have been a cruise missile that just did a near miss of an airline, of a U.S. airliner. That's another possibility. And now, why can't we refer to that? Why can't we, for instance, I think it'll be a strong clue if you go out on some channel and start saying, hey, it looks like this was a cruise missile that just had a near miss with one of our airliners. And now we need to trace down what country did it come from? Did it come from a submarine? Did it come from another platform in New Mexico? I mean, where did it come from? If you start, I have a strong feeling that if a person starts speculating like that openly, they'll be censored. They'll be censored. That's just a feeling I have. But as I look at the coverage around the world of this particular case, every single headline fails to mention the cruise missile quote or possibility. Every single every single headline around the world, as I'm looking at them now, say, oh, American Airlines pilot spots long cylindrical object and possible UFO sighting. That's a strong clue that says something's going on here. They're trying to drive an agenda here.
Now, the bigger story would be if it was an actual UFO, right? Zeta Reticuli visiting us, Andromeda, right? Visiting us. That's not as big a story as a cruise missile almost hitting a commercial airliner in United States airspace. That's a huge story, right?
Yeah, it should be. It should be, absolutely.
Now, what about a rogue accidental firing? Somebody flipped a switch. There's a malfunction in the software. Somehow one of these missiles got launched and locked on to, right, a commercial airliner.
Yes, exactly. And now you're finding why the pilot said, I hate to say this, but that's the reason why, because that unlocks a lot of very problems filled with liability, and a lot of fault and finger pointing in the military, in our national security structure, and a lot of responsibility for people to actually say what happened here, what's going on. Because truthfully, at this point, I don't really trust the FBI to get to the bottom of this. I really don't. After what happened with Flight TWA 800, how we never got answers from that, how they handled the Las Vegas mass shooting that occurred, I think it's a couple of years ago now, and how we never got any answers on that at all. Looking at this, I don't see that they are going to give us answers this time either.
Now, why? Okay, a couple of things came into play right away, which I almost didn't expect, but there seemed to be a little bit of transparency in that American Airlines immediately said, yes, the flight recording is authentic. But we are going to refer your questions to the FBI.
To the FBI.
And I thought, wow, that was pretty rapid. And I'm thinking, why isn't the FAA saying anything on this? Why isn't the Air Force or somebody else commenting on this? But it's immediately over into the FBI. And then the FBI actually responds, yes, we are aware there is an investigation that we can't comment on. Why would it go directly to the FBI if it's a military possibility?
No, that's standard procedure. The FBI would have to do the investigation into if there's a hostile action over U.S. soil, just to see if there's any involvement with terrorism of some kind. They would do the initial examination for that. Now, that doesn't mean the FAA has their own investigators. Their own investigators would still also be working on this investigation as well as other.
What about the Air Force, OSI, Office of Special Investigations? I would think that they would be in on this investigation too as well. They want to get their own answers. And if it came from an Air Force installation and a test facility down in New Mexico, how that missile got fired, or if it got fired, they would have to look into that. Are all of these agencies, do they communicate?
Yeah, they will be communicating, and they are communicating, absolutely. But the primary on the investigation will be the FBI until there's a determination of whether there's a hostile foreign actor or a terrorist group is not involved with this. Once they make that determination, then the Air Force can take the lead after that, or some other agency can take the lead after that.
Now we have the date, the time, the location, and we've got the recording, right? And we've got the flight-aware data. We have software data. We have everything in play here. Do you expect, I'm talking about for a civilian investigation. We can look into this ourselves these days, right? We have a lot of information.
That'd be good.
Do you think that the pilots, would you expect the pilot to come forward and say something?
In public, no. I don't expect that he will in public at all. His statements will be taken by the FBI and the FAA and anybody, and the Air Force as well. They will take his statements, and he will probably be non-disclosured after that. He will probably have to sign special non-disclosures so that he doesn't speak in public about this as well.
Now, what about the passengers? You have the pilot, you have the co-pilot, but there's a lot of windows on the plane, right? And people looking out all the time. We haven't heard from any passengers. Do you think that once that plane landed, any witnesses were pulled aside? I'm speculating here, but I find it strange that we haven't seen a cell phone video, right? We haven't had a passenger comment on this.
Yeah, I think because of the physical position of windows for a pilot as opposed to the ones that exist for the passengers, they may not have seen anything at this point. But if they did, they should have come forward at that moment when that flight was over, because I'm pretty sure that the pilot probably had FBI people there talking to the passengers and talking to everyone. But you never know. There might be a passenger who may have some film, may have some testimony on this, and has not made it available to the investigators so far. And that would be really interesting to find out later on as time goes by.
If this was a cruise missile, is this entire incident squashed? I mean, is it the last we're going to hear of anything official?
I believe so, yeah. If it was something hostile, or even something accidental that had to do with military, then yeah, everyone will be non-disclosure to the hilt on this, passengers and pilot. And we will not hear another word about this. And that's what I'm concerned about, Jimmy. And that's why I am launching on your show the request and desire for independent group of investigators in this country to handle things like this, because that's what we need. That's what we need. We need people that are not connected to the government and people who are not restricted by the government, people who do not have to do a 6-month investigation on flight TWA 800 and then and to find out what really brought that plane down, and then be told, oh, guess what? You can't investigate this any further. Drop everything you've got, burn your reports and forget about it, because we're coming up with a different conclusion on this. We need private, independent body of investigators. We absolutely do. And I want to bring the news to your audience that we actually, in this country, we actually did have that for a period of time, about 50 years. Back in the 18th century, 1800s, we had in this country something called the Pinkerton Group. We had the Pinkerton Group from the 1860s, around the end of the Civil War, right up until 1908. We had something called the Pinkertons. They were a giant, they started out as a detective agency, and they handled all federal enforcement of law in this country right up until 1908, 1900, around there. And they did a great job, and they were independent. The problem was they were eventually they were taken over by the robber barons, J.P. Morgan, and those guys. And in about the turn of the century, in 1900, the Pinkertons, who had been enforcing federal law all over the country, they went with J.P. Morgan's people, and there was a giant strike in New York City, and they killed a bunch of people there in New York City over a strike, a massive strike that was going on. And so after that, the Pinkertons were disbanded, and they fell into disrepute. And so after that, in 1908, a few years later, they started the FBI.
Now, didn't the Pinkertons, we've got to take a break right here. Didn't they become the Secret Service?
Part of them probably did. Did because they were specialized.
Don't quote me on that. Just save your email right now about how wrong I am. Now, I find, I've got to take a break in 15 seconds. I find the timing of AA 2292 in this climate that we find ourselves in today, find the timing of this and the type of event that it was suspect. I want to talk about this after the break. Sorry. Do you find the timing of this a little strange?
Absolutely. It sounds like an elongated tic-tac. That's what it sounds like to me.
Let's take our break right here. Our guest tonight, the one and only, the X-Man, John DeSouza. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Want to remind everybody what's going on. Tomorrow night, Jim Harold is here. And then Wednesday night, Artificial Intelligence with author and researcher Matthew Bailey. This is Fade to Black in the Game Changer Network. I'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Hello, my name is Billy Carson, and I am a best-selling author and the founder of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Together with my team, we have built an all-new conscious streaming TV platform designed with every family member in mind. If you have ever wanted to travel the world and attend lectures and workshops from your favorite speakers but weren't able to, look no further. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. There are dozens of workshops and lectures from speakers you know and love. We have also included amazing categories to assure that your consciousness is entertained and elevating on a daily basis. Amazing interviews, ancient history, ascension knowledge, wisdom teachings, documentaries, conspiracies, mysteries, health and fitness, conscious cooking, meditations, finance, yoga, and so much more. To start your free trial on any mobile device or computer, surf to forbiddenknowledge.tv. That's Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4, forbiddenknowledge.tv. Again, visit forbiddenknowledge.tv today.
Listen, I know, and you know, that you've always wanted your first crystal skull. Or maybe you're a collector just like me, but you just don't know where to go to find the real thing. Then I met Carolyn Ford over at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. Carolyn is the guardian of Einstein, one of the most respected ancient crystal skulls in the world. All of her unique skulls have been imprinted sitting with Einstein in his sacred lodge and are carved from the finest gemstone and materials. Imprinting is the process of receiving the ancient wisdom from the master skull or master computer. Einstein, the ancient crystal skull. To see Carolyn's current collection of crystal skulls, just visit her store. Forget to use the promo code Jimmy at checkout to receive 10% off of your order today. That's promo code Jimmy. Finding your first or next crystal skull is easy. Just visit EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black Blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers.
Yes.
We are also Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, John DeSouza is here talking about AA 2292 and kind of moving on a little bit. I'm talking about the timing of it is a little suspect to me. Before we get there, John's contribution to the film, 1,000 Pieces, is worth the price of admission. John, you let it all hang out in that film, man. And we had Roger Richards on a couple of weeks ago talking about the film, and it's extraordinary. And you did not hold back, my man. You did not hold back. Now, I wanted to ask you not only about that film and what we're talking about now. Does an FBI agent ever retire? I mean, you know what? That's what everybody always mentions, that you're still connected, right? Or are you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we do retire, and it's not like the CIA or the mafia. It's we do retire, we do leave. The only real, and then you always keep your connections at the bureau with your friends, your individuals that you are aware of, that you know, and who know you. But and they also have to approve. They have to give some sort of approval on the books that we write, like when I wrote the Extra Dimensionals, I had to send a copy to them, to a special division that they have, and I'll have to do that for the rest of my life with any books I write. And then they have to say, well, okay, you're not revealing Obama's hat size, but so I guess we can approve this, and they do. And they do. But yeah, you do retire. FBI agents do retire. They do leave the organization. It's not like the CIA or the mafia, basically.
Now, one thing that you didn't retire is your look. You look fed, right? You just look fed. When you go into, this is just for me. You go into a restaurant, you're out in public. Do you get the look? Because you look you look fed, right? You look like an agent of some kind, right? You can't escape that DNA, can you?
No, yeah. Usually, all I get is people freaking out because why am I staring at them, and with a strange look. They just want to know what's happening with that guy, what's wrong with him, and then I just go back to eating my food, and then things are pretty much okay, I think.
Yeah, but you do look fed. You do look fed. If we were playing Spot the Fed in a crowd, you would be picked first.
Yeah, but I'd pick you for the undercover agent.
Yeah, that's probably true, too, as well. You blew my cover. You're not supposed to do that. I thought we had a mutual thing between us, not to blow cover. You know the best FBI movie ever? The best FBI movie ever. My Blue Heaven.
Oh, that was great.
My Blue
Absolutely.
Heaven. Rick Moranis and Steve Martin. Best FBI movie ever. Now, okay, I want to talk about the timing of this, because it seems to me to just fit an agenda with everything else that is going on. This wasn't a flying saucer. This wasn't, a plasma ship. This wasn't described no. This was a threat to a commercial airliner in American airspace with a very strange description tied to it in the middle of the UAP Task Force special report that has got fear all over it.
Right.
Am I wrong in jumping to these kind of conclusions?
No, it's contemporaneousness is often a very strong clue. Absolutely. And this is contemporaneous with a lot of things that are going on with the UAP campaign to make people fear and to make people believe that all alien vehicles are unknown alien threats as well. So that really begs the question. So does that mean, because this thing was kind of like an elongated Tic Tac. It just seemed that way. And it just kind of seems to have that flavor with the speed and the actual targeting of the aircraft, so that the aircraft would see it right at that moment. It just seems to have some of the same hallmarks as the Tic Tac incident. So you have to look at that, and then you have to look at, if they're really trying to gin up fear, then that really leads to inevitably to the question, well, then does that mean that the next time this happens, the vehicle, the cylinder, whatever it is going to actually destroy the airliner? Is that the next step, logical step in this process? And that's really, that's pretty scary if you really think about it. And that's something that's difficult to contemplate, but we do have to contemplate. We do have to look at that as a possibility. And so we have to really look at this group that is pushing forward this UAT also, T like Tom, this UAT agenda as well, because they're involving some very powerful elements from the government and the Pentagon as well. So we have to really take a good, strong look at this as well.
UAT being unidentified aerial threat?
Right. Yeah, they use the lingo UAP for unknown aerial phenomena, and then UAT, unknown aerial threat. They ease you into that language slowly whenever they talk.
Do you think that AA 2292 is going to find its way into the UAP Task Force report that is going to be submitted to the Senate Intelligence Committee?
Yeah, actually I do. Yeah, that's my final investigative conclusion on this whole thing, that really this is part of the continuing UAP campaign, and that this is going to get lumped in there with everything else concerning this march that we're being forced on towards fake alien invasion.
Now,
that's the only way I can say it.
I could almost hear a senator saying, this is what we're talking about, a threat in our airspace, and now it was the military, and now it's civilian commercial airliners. There is something going on here, and the fear and threat spin is going to be put on it.
Oh, absolutely. And then, what's going to happen next month? Are we going to have this? Are we going to have these vehicles now next time do donuts around an airliner and do over and unders and do backwards movement and all these incredible maneuvers that we haven't seen since 1952 over Washington D.C. when we had the invasion of UFOs over the memorial building out there in D.C. That might be the next thing that we're going to see as well.
Now, you mentioned an agenda by a group. Let's go back to that. What do you think the agenda is, and who is the group?
Oh, the group is this. It started with this TTSA group that thankfully is kind of dissipated off the scene now. But they're at the center of this. It's also the aerospace genius. What's his name? Robert Jordan. I forget his name. The guy who has his own aerospace, and he's really
Robert Bigelow. Bigelow.
The Bigelow Group, which actually cuts across many industries and many different areas. It includes Bigelow. It includes the CIA. It includes Pentagon officials and many other officials, because I saw them all up there on the stage. I saw all of these CIA officials up on the stage at TTSA when all of this started. And of course, those CIA officials were all saying, "Oh no, we retired. We're not part of the CIA anymore." And we're out of the Pentagon. We retired yesterday, the day before they went on stage. So yeah, that's a part of it. We also have John Podesta, and Tom DeLonge in this group as well. And if you want to see what the real genesis of this group was, you can look at WikiLeaks and the emails between Podesta and DeLonge that's in WikiLeaks. That stuff is amazing. It's really eye-opening. And so this is a huge group where the mainstream media, Tucker Carlson and CNN and many other parts of the mainstream media, have been ordered to cooperate with this group, to recognize for the first time in all of our lives that UFOs may be real. And you've got these people running around. It also includes Senator Harry Reid. It includes now it's including this Rubio, apparently Senator Rubio as well. So you've got a lot of these moving parts in this giant group that cuts across government, the intelligence agencies, mainstream media, they're all working together in this group, and this group is getting larger and larger all the time. And they're all driving us on this on these Tic Tac incidents. Now it's going to be this one too, and who knows what the next one's going to be tomorrow.
Now, and so the question would be ultimately, why? You know, why is this actually going on? Is it for military funding? Is it for black projects? Is it for these different constituents and their corporations across the United States and funding into their programs? Is that ultimately the reason for all of this?
Those probably are side benefits, like some of the things that you mentioned there are probably additional benefits that they get. But ultimately, the great goal is to take control of ufology, number one.
Right.
They want to take control of ufology using a lot of people and things to do that, and media. And then they want to increase tremendous fear in the area of ufology. They want to increase the fear because they're going to keep rolling these incidences forward with these Tic Tacs, with these cylinders, with who knows what's next on this horizon as well. And they're going to keep driving up the fear factor. You know, this time, yeah, we just buzzed an airliner. Next time we take down a plane. You know, it's going to be something. And we've had a really great description of this situation has been done by Dr. Greer, who really laid this out really well for us, showing how this campaign has been moving forward and how it's gathering steam. It's gathering as we get to the end of this 6-month period for disclosure in the countdown to disclosure. And so this is gathering steam, and it's getting worse and worse. And the ultimate goal at the end of all this is that the deep state wants to be able to have the option of launching this fake alien invasion of the Earth, basically, because they want everyone on Earth to be unified behind them. And if you want to see exactly, and what's funny is the deep state has already put out a blueprint of exactly how this is going to work. It's actually a television show, because we know Hollywood works very closely with the deep state and the cabal.
Mm-hmm.
There's a show on television. I probably mentioned this to you before, Jimmy. There's a show. It was on for 3 seasons. That's the minimum requirement. It's called Colony. It's on Netflix right now. Anybody can go see it. And if you want to see exactly how the blueprint is going to go for fake alien invasion, because the problem with fake alien invasion is the aliens won't be real, but the destruction that they cause with alien technology will be real. That's going to be real. And so that's why this is such a difficult thing to try to warn people about, the gravity of it. And that's what people have to really see. But if you see that show, Colony.
I love it. I love Colony. Yeah. And Steven Spielberg's Dark Skies, too, is pretty amazing. Now, and we have you know what? One of the best points that you just brought up is throughout 2021, the alien ET invasion scripted dramas, not documentaries on History Channel. I'm not talking about that. Travel Channel. I'm talking about scripted dramas on network television centered around ET and ET invasion. We're about to get a big dose of everything. Debris debuts tonight on NBC. That's another scripted drama that's getting ready to come out. Now, let's back up for a second. The fake alien invasion, is that something that we are going to see, or is it going to be a suggested alien invasion that it is coming, but you know what I mean? Or is this going to be some kind of Project Bluebeam where we're going to see fake flying saucers?
It could be involving all those elements at the same time, but there will be very real alien tech that is used during it, and there will be real destruction against our cities, because that's needed. They need that in order to make everyone just go crazy and cry out for salvation. And that's when they want to have the unity behind them. So it will be real, but there won't be any physical aliens involved. That's the part that's missing.
Right. Is the Space Force and its creation, also the timing of it, very suspect? Just the name Space Force is suggestive of something, right? It's a Space Force. Yeah. The timing of that seems strange too as well. Does the Space Force come into this agenda?
Yeah, absolutely. It has a counter against it, because Space Force was partly created to try to head this off, to stop this from happening, and to also bring. That's part of the many reasons that Space Force was created, and Space Force is actively engaged in that struggle right now, because we're facing a time right now where alien technology is coming to us for certain. Absolutely, it is. It's coming to us, and very, very, very quickly. But we're going to get it in one of two ways. We're either going to get it in the bad way, from the going to be shooting it at us with this fake alien invasion, or we're going to get it from Space Force that's going to be giving us things like med beds and good alien technology that's going to help us, uplift us, and make things free and equitable for us here on Earth. So that's the race that we're in right now, and these forces are maneuvering with each other and against each other to see which one is able to get to us first.
You mentioned the CIA in Hollywood and the connection, and if anybody wants to even just a little bit jump down that rabbit hole, Google search CIA Entertainment Division. You can go right to their website and you can read what they're hiring, by the way. Right? And you can go in and read it for yourself, and it's fascinating to go and check that out. But did you watch the Super Bowl?
No.
Okay. The Super Bowl, which everybody loves the Super Bowl ads, and a lot of people don't even watch the game. They watch the Super Bowl to watch the ads and so forth. This year, the Super Bowl was a UFO ET centered marketing campaign. It was like every other commercial had ET, abduction, alien invasion tied to it. Some of it funny, some of it comical, some of it, a little bit serious. But the point is, it was there and in your face for 100 million live viewers to see. And it's
always a reason.
It seemed like it was a coordinated effort.
There's always a reason. Things are not done for no reason, especially at that level. There's always some reason. And what's terrible about this is what I've always said. I keep saying to people, all of this information is out in the open. It is available. We are in the information age. All this stuff is out there. And they're just counting on you're not going to have the patience to look through it and actually find out. The CIA Hollywood division. I mean, that stuff it's out there in public. That's why we really don't. And this is a radical statement. We don't really have a reason to have whistleblowers anymore. We really don't need whistleblowers because this information is out there in public. You don't need somebody to violate a security oath to tell you something about what this organization is doing. The CIA's information is out in every dirty deed, just about every dirty deed they've ever done. I mean, it's in the public domain. People know about it. We know about Operation Northwoods. We have it. We have every detail of it. We know the things that they have done, and they don't even bother to hide it anymore. And why is that? Because there's so much information out there that they're counting on that you will not have the ability to sift through it and find what really, really matters to you at this point.
Now, we're going to head towards a break. When we come back, I want to talk about the UAP Task Force and this report and what we can expect to see in it. And before we get there, just a quick question. People talk about the Men in Black a lot. Is the Men in Black, is that an FBI thing, or is that another agency? Does the FBI have their own Men in Black?
No, absolutely not. The Men in Black are real. They are out there, and they are created by globalist forces. They don't belong to any particular nation, but they go to every nation, and they are a sort of some kind of form of life that we don't even have a description, definition for. And they have extraordinary abilities, but their greatest ability is that they have the ability to track down and find any bit of alien technology that any person has in their possession at any time. And somehow they have some kind of radar system, some guidance system that brings them to anyone that has alien tech in their possession at any time.
Did you just say Gradar? You said Gradar, didn't you?
Yes, it's very much like radar, but it's based on the color gray. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. Let's take our break right here. Our guest tonight, the one and only John DeSouza. John Tama Books is his website, and the links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. More with John after this short break. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Do you want to be an official Fadernaut? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com. Fadernauts. When you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, John DeSouza. More with John in just a second. Right now, I want to talk to you about Virtual Shield VPN. If you're looking at me right now on the bunker cam, you can see all of the computers, or you can see one, I guess. But you can't see that one or these that are under here, the monitors in front of me. Every computer that I have for Fade to Black has Virtual Shield VPN. It's the only VPN I'll ever use because they have a strict no-log policy, and it's all built into their software from the ground up for privacy protection. Virtual Shield routes your internet through advanced encrypted servers across the globe to prevent your internet service provider from being able to track your internet traffic. You need to get Virtual Shield VPN today, and it's easy to do. Just go to virtualshield.com/fade to black. That's all you got to do. You do that, you will get Virtual Shield right now for 50% off today. You can also click on the video link in the description box below and get it. Get Virtual Shield VPN and do it now. Our guest tonight, John DeSouza. And John, we were just talking about the Men in Black. I want to, before we get to the UAP Task Force report and what you expect to see in it, this was about 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Over at my house, the doorbell rings. I'm on the back patio. And I answer the door, and there's a lady standing there, and she's a Fed. Okay, she's in a gray suit. She's by herself. She had an iPad, and she then tells me, well-dressed, and she tells me she's with the census. I said, what? And she goes, are you church? And I said, okay, whatever. Boom. I slammed the door. Good. And now I noticed across the street, over her shoulder, I swear, was like a dark gray Crown Vic. And I thought, wow, okay, census driving Crown Vics in my gated community, knocking on doors. Yeah, this is real. So anyway, I slammed the door. It was the next day she's back. And now she had her that looked like they played football for Nebraska. Okay? Two big dudes, gray suits. And I'm like, wait. And she goes, Mr. Church, we need to talk to you. I said, no, you don't. No. And I slammed the door. 2 Crown Vics now across the street. And I walked away and I thought, man, that was just weird. And I mentioned it to Rita later. Now, I don't know ultimately who they were. My mistake was I didn't do the right thing. I didn't go out, take pictures, photograph the cars, videotape, ask questions. Yeah. I didn't do any of that, and I regret it. They never came back. Does that seem fetish? Fed, FED-ish. Is that an FBI thing? That doesn't feel like the census to me.
Yeah, it sounds like some sort of undercover thing, maybe for somebody at this point, because it's just they really wanted to get that information about you, and they were much more determined than census takers would be, and so It's really very strange. It definitely. Well, if you're thinking about Men in Black, my question to you would be: after they left, either time after they left, did you start getting a stomach ache?
Yeah, I don't remember. That's a great question. I don't remember. My feeling was, I'll back up. About this is 2021, around the year 2009. I had a very close friend of mine get hired by the State Department. Now, what that was involved, I'm not going to get into those details, okay? But he said to me, Jimmy, I used you as a reference, and the State Department is going to get a hold of you for an interview character assessment about myself. Is that cool? I said, yeah, sure. So, John, I signed up for this. And I signed up for it because I wanted to do it. I wanted to go through the experience, right? A State Department interview. And this thing went down at a Starbucks. At a Starbucks, man. So I get the phone call and hi, I'm Special Agent blah, blah, blah with the State Department. And names were met. I said, yes, I'm expecting your call. Okay, when can we get together? I said, tomorrow. And he said, okay, I know where you live. I know the neighborhood. You want to meet at the Starbucks on such and such a street? And I thought, wow, okay, he does know the neighborhood. I said, okay. So I show up there the next day. I walk in, I look around Starbucks. This dude stood out like a sore thumb, right? Everybody in the Starbucks is hip, young, and cool, right? This guy's sitting there in a gray suit by himself at this table. And I walked right up, and he knew who I was, So we sit down, and he had this aura about him. Very smart, very cool guy. I'm going to say 50, like right in there. Gave me his business card, which I still have stashed around somewhere. But the feeling I got from him and the way that he looked is what I felt at my front door. Cut from the same cloth. Oh. This is the other thing. I looked for this guy's car when I was walking into Starbucks. I didn't see a Fed car, right? I was like, looking around. I didn't see anything. When we left, he said, I'm going to leave first, and if you could, just wait a few minutes before you leave. I thought, wow, that's okay. So he leaves, and I'm kind of watching him, and I'm like, I can't give him a couple of minutes. And I ran straight out. I wanted to see what he was driving. Dude disappeared. I'm not saying he disappeared. I'm saying he parked around the corner. He walked fast somewhere and got in his car and split. I didn't see the car. I didn't see him. It was good. It was good. I'm going to leave first, and then you leave in about 5 minutes. But same vibe.
Batman does that.
What's that?
I think Batman does that.
Yeah, he did.
So it looks like he disappears.
So this is my question. Would the FBI go out and say that they're not the FBI?
Oh, sure. They do it all the time.
They do.
Course. Yeah, sure.
Well, what would a typical thing... What would a typical thing to be? Did you do that? Did you say, hey, I'm with ABC Laundry Service or whatever? Did you?
No, I didn't, because I didn't. I never worked undercover type of things. So I never did do that. I always identified myself as who I am. I always showed my badge and did my business, whatever it might be. And agents are always in. Another good thing to remember is agents are always in pairs. They're always in pairs. And another good thing and if they're not in pairs, then they're not following regulations of their own agency. If you have a single agent, a single Fed show up at your door without a second person, they're doing something wrong is going on, first of all. Also, even if they show you a badge is just a piece of tin that anybody can copy. I mean, you can get one out of a machine. It's the number on the badge that makes it something special, something important. My badge number is 10585. That will always be my badge number for my FBI badge, forever and always. And every agent, every real federal agent knows their badge number. That's another thing. And you're supposed to get that badge number whenever you come in contact with somebody who's a Fed, so that you can ask their agency, hey, this guy, is he really with your agency? You call the 202 number, whatever it is, and you call their agency and you say, hey, I've got this guy at my door. He's got a badge that could be out of a popcorn machine for all I know, but it had this number on it. And this number is 10585. Can you verify for me that this is an agent at your agency? And they have to tell you. That's it. And that's really the only way to resolve who is who when you're dealing with them. This person said their census, whatever. I don't really recognize that as a real thing anyway. So I would have slammed the door on them too, just like you did.
It was bizarre. Does the FBI attend UFO conferences?
I doubt it. Very much. I'd say that's more in the purview of people who work against the American people, like the CIA. That's more in their little bailiwick, I would say. And I have seen people that look like CIA contractors to me at some of these conferences that I've gone to. And I see some of these little pipsqueaks that look like CIA contractors, CIA people to me, and that's a totally different thing. FBI wouldn't get involved with that.
FBI wouldn't get involved, but so you're saying that with your ability to detect, an individual like this, you have yes, you have seen this go on at UFO conventions.
Yes, I have. I have seen people that I absolutely would have pegged as CIA contractors. I would say that's what we call them, contractors. CIA doesn't really put themselves on the ground. They use contractors. They use people outside to do things like that, to collect information at conferences and things like that. And I have encountered those individuals, and I've tried to talk to them, and they won't even look me in the eye, and they walk away real fast. That's just been my experience, my own experience.
I need to pay more attention at the UFO conferences. I'm always, and you and I have hung out a lot. I like to have a good time and hang out, and I'm not paying attention. I just think I need to observe a little bit more at these. I would love to call somebody out, and just to see their reaction to it, because either you're there as somebody with genuine interest in UFOs, and you're a civilian, and you'll engage in a conversation and laugh about it. But if you're not, I don't think you would engage in that type of conversation. You wouldn't laugh it off. I need to do it. Maybe I'll engage your help, and we can point somebody out and do it. I think it would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it would, but you'd be a little bit shocked, Jimmy, at the people that I would point out to you. So you might be a little surprised.
How so?
Because it wouldn't be the people that you'd expect, that you would ever, or suspect. Let's put it that way. So yeah, that's something that you need to go through to actually live through it to see what it is.
At the big hacker convention in Las Vegas that they do every year, they have a little game that they play called Spot the Fed, right? Okay. Yeah. And they'll bring up 5, 6, 7 people on stage where the audience is calling out, who they think are feds, right? And the feds like to play this game, actually, because if you get called out and you're questioned on stage and then they find out who is the Fed, right, you get a T-shirt. I was spotted, right? And you get the Spot the Fed T-shirt. Well, in a couple of videos that I've watched of this, I've watched a lot of videos, but in a couple of them, the feds were women, younger, and one of them was an Air Force employee. Another one was a State Department employee. I on everything that I loved, the last person in the room you would pick.
Wow.
You would never, ever, ever. And I remember, I got 7 feds, up on the stage, and I'm thinking, yeah, him for sure. Yeah, him definitely. And it was these middle-aged females.
There you go. Just like serial killers. They look just like you and me, like anybody else.
Just like serial killers. Okay, let's not go there. Oh, man. All right, let's get to the UAP Task Force report. Lots of people talking about it. Lots of excitement out there. And, of course, the disclosure community is pinning a lot of hopes on this report. Due in, it was 6 months back in January. So we're looking at June, maybe July. What do you expect to see in this report?
I expect to see stuff that is not going to be in our favor. It's just stuff that's going to be leading to other things. I don't think it's going to be anything that's revelatory in and of itself. It's going to be just leading us to other places, to give them more room and more things to be able to reveal. Because like I said, this is part of the same PSYOP, the same psychological operation that they've had going for about a year now. And it's going to continue. And I really don't think we're going to be seeing anything definitive. But it's just going to point us towards more pools of information, more pools of stuff that we can go to try to find out more. That's what I think.
There is another section of the report. I'm going to stay on that thought, though. There's another section of the report that is reserved for classified information. Is that the way out from publicly disclosing other stuff? That the real good stuff is going to be in the classified, and then we're going to get the watered down version on the public side if we get anything at all?
Well, it's going to be the way that they can pretend that there's something really, really big in the classified section, because overclassification is a way of life in these areas. Overclassification of everything. It's just a way to pretend that you've got really spicy stuff in the classified section. That's what I've seen in areas like this, and I think there's not going to be anything really of that great import in the classified sections either.
Will the Senate Intelligence Committee have access to the classified section of the report?
Yeah, they will, but half of them won't even know what they're reading anyway. I mean, you'd have to have knowledge in these areas. You'd have to have understanding in these areas. I could pick several people out of the ufology community who will know what they're looking at better than those senators on that committee. So that's what I'm saying. Reading these reports and these things, if you don't really know what you're looking at, then what good is it anyway? It doesn't really make a difference.
Now, do you expect an ET component in this report, or is it going to be UAP terrestrial, foreign, domestic, military gear, drones, et al.?
Yeah. It's going to be that. They can't mention the alien visitors. They can't get into the alien visitors because they don't have any to show. If they can't get into that, they're going to have to concentrate on alien tech, on the Tic Tacs, on the materials. The materials from the ship. We now have reviewed materials from the ship. They don't have bodies to show like they did at Roswell, where they were able to produce these hybrid bodies that were created for that purpose. And so because they're not going to be able to refer to actual alien visitors.
So Marco Rubio and the rest of the Senate Intelligence Committee is not going to be briefed on UFOs not of this Earth, visitors from another star system to this planet. I'm being very clear here, right? It's either us or them. And you're saying that Marco Rubio, there won't be an alien UFO component as we understand it in that report.
Well, they can talk about the UFOs. They can talk about the craft, the vehicles. They're going to be, I'm sure they're going to be revealing materials that these from these wrecked UFOs. They'll be talking about all the components and things like that. But the actual the bodies, the corpus, they're not going to produce the corpus. They're not going to go into the actual alien visitor bodies themselves.
You think that they would mention crashed flying saucers, crashed craft and debris? You think that would be in the report?
Yeah, I think it will be ultimately. Yeah, they will go into that because they have plenty to draw on in that area. We've had so many supposed UFO crashes around the world, not just at Roswell, but around the world as well. And they're going to be discussing all of that about the materials and how, and ultimately they'll be talking about reconstituting the materials so that we can use them for our technology purposes and doing, and making all kinds of promises for anti-grav and plenty of other things as well. That's what I expect to see.
When Captain Fravor, David Fravor, described what he saw flying, right, at these speeds and exiting, that part supports sort of what's in the videos. What's in the videos is not what is described by Fravor. It's like two different things.
Exactly.
Right? It's two different things.
Exactly.
Do you think that what Fravor saw was Russian? Do you think it was Chinese? Or do you think that was American?
No, I believe these super weapons, these Tic Tacs that are top secret weapons, belong to the United States. That's exactly why they needed a place to test these top secret weapons in 2004. They did it off the coast of California.
San Diego, and the other one off the coast of the east coast of the United States, the Roosevelt.
Right, and they needed, specifically because of the Chinese and the Russians, they needed a completely secure space to test these weapons. And so they had the entire Nimitz carrier group form a semicircle horseshoe around this area. And then they had the weapons go ahead and test, along with pilots, flying close to them as well. And that's exactly how that went down.
Did you say that the carrier group was in a horseshoe shaped?
Yeah, that's what I imagine, because the Nimitz probably hung back, and then the rest of the carrier group had to form some kind of line towards the weapons testing area.
Right. Now, you've described this as a weapon. Is it a drone that can carry weapons, or is it a missile itself?
I think the whole thing. It can function as a weapon itself. It hasn't displayed those. It hasn't shown that quality off yet by destroying, planes. I mean, we couldn't at the time in 2004 because those were our own planes, that were next to the Tic Tacs. But I'm absolutely certain that with the capacities, the speeds, the maneuverability that those things have, that they absolutely have weapons capacity as well. And it's probably not with projectiles. It's probably something else that functions along the skin of the craft itself, and that it does have the capacity to destroy other slower vehicles.
Now,
because that's what gives it power.
Yeah, I think what supports what you're saying here the most is that both with the Nimitz, less with the Roosevelt, but with both cases, that this was a United States thing. If the Tic Tac was extraterrestrial, the Russians and the Chinese would be having the same experiences and we would have the same reports. It wouldn't just be with the United States military. And that's where I just kind of have to step back and go, wait a minute here. We should have reports from Japan, from Canada, from China, from Russia, all over Africa. It doesn't matter, right? We should hear reports of this throughout the Middle East. But we don't. It's just been with the United States.
But the other tip-off that tells you that these were super weapons being used in the United States, at the United States Navy specifically, is that for a period there, we had a long period there where everybody was yelling out, well, somebody from the Pentagon has to make a comment about this. Somebody's got probably a general has to say something, has to come forward and say, yeah, this program, we managed this program, we did this, we did that. Well, finally, there was an individual, I don't have his name right here, but there was an individual from the U.S. Navy who came forward and spoke about the UAPs, about the Tic Tacs. And he just gave a statement. He gave a statement that just basically said, yes, this was a real thing that happened right off San Diego, right off the Pacific coast. And it happened right when the Nimitz was there. And we have no idea what these unknown aerial craft are. We have no idea. We don't know. And that was the only statement that he released. And this is easy to look up at any time. But if you look at his name and you follow his title, you go to the Navy website and look up his title. And this was actually reported too in the news. The division of the Navy that he's from, this Navy, official Navy, he was the spokesman for like an admiral. But his division where he came from is information warfare. Information warfare division of the Navy, also called information dominance as well. Okay, these are the people who are supposed to lie to you. That's their whole job, to lie to you, deceive, and manage information so that the enemy will never know what's really going on. That's their whole job. That is the strongest. When I was doing my investigation of that was my strongest clue that what I'm saying is absolutely true. My conclusion is true, that these are military drones, very close to the A-24 drones by McDonnell Douglas Drummond. And these things are just that. They're incredibly advanced military drones for the U.S. Navy, and they are currently in use. And we have not even seen the full capacity of what they can do, because I have very little doubt that these Tic Tacs could wipe out an entire Air Force without even breaking a sweat. That's what they don't want us to find out.
Let's take our break right here. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, John DeSouza. Now, John is with us. I cannot let John go without talking about the FBI's XFILES, and we'll do all of that next when we come back. This is Fade to Black. Stay with us.
Hi everybody, this is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late? We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to GetTheT.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's GetTheT.com.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRAradio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from Rivermoon. Just click on the Rivermoon Coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B Blend.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact. KGRAradio.com.
When you're in the house for longer periods of time, you can see them flying or running across the floor. Ooh, yuck. They're unhealthy, gross, and disgusting. Bugs. I loathe bugs. We keep a clean home, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. On contact, it kills hidden bugs, including ants, roaches, and fleas. Plus, Orange Guard is a residual repellent. All of the ingredients of Orange Guard are on the FDA generally recognized as safe list. Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard. Available at orangeguard.com, Whole Foods, and Ace Hardware.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn
it. This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, John DeSouza is here. Tomorrow night, Jim Harold, host of the Paranormal Podcast. That's right, Jim Harold's with us tomorrow night. And then Wednesday night, it's author and researcher Matthew Bailey talking about his new book, Inventing World 3.0, Evolutionary Ethics for Artificial Intelligence. You're not going to want to miss that on Wednesday night. Thursday, of course, is another Fader night. And tonight, John DeSouza is back with us. And John, it's been too long. I always enjoy our conversations and hanging out. But I have to go to the X-Files, man. Got to do it. Where I was going to kind of go with this is that we all love the X-Files and Duchovny and Jillian. Is that a flavor of how the FBI approached some of these sensitive subjects? Like it was done in a rogue capacity and not necessarily in official capacity. How would you describe it?
I would in the FBI, we have a system that is below official, out of our headquarters and so forth. It's called the subject matter experts system, basically. And what it is, it just means field agents who usually do not have a connection to our headquarters, but they are subject matter experts out in the field in whatever area it is that they cover. And these can be very esoteric areas sometimes. They can be areas that are really out of the normal. Such as. Oh, I can give you an example. In the last few years, very recent, I would say probably within the last 10 years, we had an FBI agent who became a subject matter expert in what we call stolen valor medals. So he became an expert in and I guess it's because his family was in the military and he knew all the medals that high up officials would get, like generals and colonels would get. And so he just started making a whole area out of recognizing counterfeit military medals and awards that people would buy, I think usually from China. And they would just get these things and put them on their uniforms and claim to be, great heroes from World War II and stuff. Anyway, this one FBI agent became an expert in recognizing these medals from all over the world and knowing when they were counterfeit, even if they had the serial numbers on them, like a FBI badge number type thing. But even like that, he was able to somehow recognize when these medals were fake, and he made an entire area out of it. That became his subject matter expert area, and he became the world expert on that sort of thing.
Where was your
became a huge area?
Where was your home office? Where did you? Where were you stationed?
I've been stationed at Washington, D.C. I've been stationed at New York City, New Jersey as well, and Arizona as well.
And
over the years.
Now, when it comes to the X-Files, is there now? Of course, we have the show, The X-Files. But how did the FBI labeled paranormal and UFO research? Did they call them X-Files too?
No, they don't. Not in real life. They do not. They're just ordinary investigations that take a turn. That is unexpected and that no one's prepared for. And so they just have to go somewhere with them. And sometimes when they were paranormal and or suspected of having other elements in them besides the physical, they would come my way at that point.
Okay, so let's start here. I don't know what you can reveal, but for you, if you were going to give an example of a UFO sighting case or a UFO case that you handled, what was the one case that you would want to talk about?
Jeez. Well, I can't talk about it directly, but what I can do is point people to the very first episode of X-Files back in 93. It was the one that shows where Duchovny is just out in the backyard of a military base with a bunch of other people, and he's observing UFOs, basically, just coming in and going out of this area. And they're just traveling slowly, then they're going fast, then they're going faster again, and slowly. And then suddenly one of the UFOs comes towards him and the crowd of hipsters that he was standing with. And they just run away. They just run away in a panic. And then Duchovny is kidnapped by men wearing all black. But they don't seem like men in black. They seem more like soldiers. And so they bring him back. Well, they kidnap him and they bring him back to the military base. Except there's no soldiers around at the military base for some reason. The regular soldiers appear to be gone. And everybody's gone. And these men who were dressed in black, they kind of look like special forces type guys. And they bring Duchovny into an area. They bring him to a room, shoot him up with sodium pentothal, and they start asking him questions about as if he was with the UFOs, as if he knows something about the UFOs that he was sitting there observing. And they just keep him there all night and ask him questions about it all night. And he can't tell them anything because he doesn't know anything about the UFOs. And by morning time, they release him.
Okay, are you bringing this up because you're saying that was an actual case?
Yes, that was an actual case.
Who was the agent? Was that you?
It was a real FBI agent. I can put it that way. I have to. What I have to tell you is this: if
No, I love your hesitation. The audience
Carter,
can't see what I'm seeing here.
There are things that I can't say be illegal, but Chris Carter was perfectly fine to take something that happened and show it as fiction. And
how did he get access to the files?
Well, I have my opinion on that. My opinion is that I had an OTB book, which FBI agents keep when they have things that they can't put into FBI files. It's an off-the-books notebook where we take notes and we write everything that happened because we have certain things that can't go into FBI files that we deal with. And my OTB book was taken from me by some FBI agents who retired. They retired to LA to be what? To be television consultants, television and movie consultants in Los Angeles, in Hollywood. That's where they went. And they took my book, my OTV book, and that book had a lot of incredible material in it. And now I can't say for sure what occurred, but my suspicion, based on what I saw in the first season and what my FBI bosses saw in the first season of the X-Files, was they were very alarmed because they knew the cases that had gone down. They knew which cases were going on. And they called up Chris Carter, and they told Chris Carter they were going to shut down the X-Files after the first season. They were going to close it down, and he was not going to be allowed to do anything else unless he told them who gave him those case files. Because, of course, they suspected that I did. They thought I gave him my case, which is highly illegal, extremely illegal for me to do. And so I was able to tell them that, no, I did not give him any materials. Chris Carter said the same thing. He said, I did not give him any materials. And he said to them that if they will give him the details of which episodes they're talking about, and he will track down where that information came from. And at that point, our bosses, they said, okay, no, never mind. We can't give you any more details on that. That could actually put them in more trouble than what they already had. So they just basically told Chris Carter, okay, you can go on with your show, but you have to get information from different places than wherever you did. And that was it. That was how that went down.
In that episode of the X-Files, the first episode that you're talking about, did Chris accurately depict how the incident went down?
Embarrassingly so, yes. Extremely embarrassingly so, yes, he did. It was very accurate to how it actually went down in real life.
So did you feel, is there a certain civil liberty that was, where you're in a position where this shouldn't go down inside of the United States? Did you feel violated in that respect by getting abducted or kidnapped?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was not the last time that I experienced something like that. And yes, it was more embarrassing than anything else, and very disturbing. And it's not something that should ever happen or should ever go down. And unfortunately,
were these special forces? Did they have insignias? Did they have any identifications on them?
No, they were clean.
And that's also illegal, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm sure it is. It's also illegal for military personnel not to be in control of their own military base as well. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that went down that had to do with globalist authorities. Let's put it that way. People who basically would take over the authority of the national authority in those areas. A lot of that went on.
So was this the catalyst for you to be that specialist inside of the FBI?
No, that was not the catalyst. The catalyst was what I did when I was recruited to the FBI, which is that I went around. When I was at the academy, I actually went and asked did my own investigation of this case that occurred at the FBI called the Miami Shootout in 1985, I think. I think it was 1985. And I did I kind of did a little investigation of that because I had some deputies there that were from the Miami-Dade area where it occurred.
Was that the cocaine cowboy shootout at the mall?
Yeah, it was called the Miami shootout, the Miami massacre.
Yes, yeah, it was absolutely insane in the parking lot, right?
Yes, that's it. That's the one.
Right.
But what occurred there was that we had these criminals, these two criminals, Maddox and Platt, who were shot to hell. I mean, they were shot fatally. One of them was shot like through the aorta of the heart, and they just got up and they just came around the parking lot in a semicircle, just shooting, and they killed a couple of FBI agents and shot many, many more. And it was like a Terminator type situation. And then they did this, and they got back in their car to leave, and they were leaving. And just as they did, one of the FBI agents who had one arm shattered by a shotgun shell, I mean, his arm was blown to hell, but he used the other arm to get a shotgun. And he, just as they were starting up the car to leave, he popped up and he shot them both right through the place in the neck that connects to the spinal cord. And that's what finally stopped them. Nothing else was stopping them. Not all the other places that they shot them. Anyway, that's a famous. But after that occurred, after that investigation occurred, what happened was there was a lot of crying out for, well, how were these guys able to do what they did? They didn't have any body armor. They were shot. They were both shot numerous times by FBI agents. And so how did they get up and just start doing the Terminator thing right through that parking lot? And at the time, they did the tests on their blood. They didn't have anything in their blood except a little bit of beer and nicotine. That's it. They had nothing else. So there was no drugs. There was no PCP. There was no cocaine. Nothing that could explain what they did. So when I got to the academy, and that incident was one of the ones that inspired me to join the FBI, because it was the acts of heroism of that particular FBI agent who was able to finally stop those guys. And he did it by emptying that shotgun at them and then emptying his sidearm as well at them at the last possible moment as they were trying to get out, drive away. And so it was a tremendous incident of heroism at the FBI.
So you go so you go to the academy, you know about this, you know about some type of superhuman aspect that is playing out here, and you wanted to investigate that, and you brought this up at the academy?
I brought it up with a couple of deputies that actually worked the case, and they were able to tell me that they did searches through the places, the residences of those guys, Maddox and Platt, who were involved, who did these things. And they found they were looking for drugs. I mean, that was their big mandate, to find drugs. They found no drugs at all, and they were amazed. And what they did find was in one of their homes, they found an altar that was made up to the Norse gods, with runes and these types of sort of designs that were from that period. And they had, before they went out to their final bank robbery, where they were caught, they actually had incense that had been burned to Loki, the god of trickery.
Right.
The god of trickery and something else. And so when I found that out, I told deputy, that's it. That's how they did what they did. They got some kind of, and I've been told they got some kind of berserker spirit or some kind of trickery spirit from Loki, the god that they were sacrificing to. And that is what animated them in such an extraordinary way to do the things that they did. And so anyway, but the fact that I was asking questions about that came to the attention of the FBI brass, who was very not happy about it at all. And they told me as a result of that, they suspected me of being a New York Times reporter or something undercover, and that I would never graduate the academy no matter what. And then when I did graduate the academy, despite all their efforts to the contrary, they were very upset with that. they called my first office and said to my first office, this guy likes paranormal cases. Let's make sure we give him a lot of those to keep him busy and make him happy that way. And it was not, and they said that sarcastically. That is how I got started with the paranormal cases.
Now, you, I don't want to dive too deeply into this, but you did have some ET contact, a lot of it prior to joining the FBI. When you finally graduate and now you're placed in a field office, what do you do with, do you ask UFO, do you bring it up in the office? How do you poke around in files? How do you approach these cases? How do you do that without, coming off, like Fox Mulder, for instance?
No, well, first of all, everybody knows about what my subject matter expertise is, because as soon as you go to the office, they do what's called assignment of control files. So the first thing I got was all of these files that are very important, that have to do with UFOs, that have to be monitored. So those get assigned to me. That's how I first got the smoking gun memo that I talk about in my book, The Extra Dimensionals.
Right.
It's the memorandum from an FBI agent back in the 40s, back in 1947, that says he had an informant that was an alien visitor. Basically, he says the word supernormal, and his informant told him the whole deal on alien visitors, that they're not physical, that they're traveling here, that the UFOs are empty. There's nobody in the UFOs, that the UFOs travel with alien visitors, and they both come here from other dimensions, then they are not physical. And that, based on that, is why I named my book The Extra Dimensionals, because of that memo and what the FBI taught me on my first day when I received that control file and I got that memo. That's how it started.
Now, you said these were cases that needed to be monitored. What does that mean?
It means cases that are so important that even though they're not active investigations, because this happened. Let's say Roswell. Roswell, happened in 1947. Supposedly, we got this crashed UFO. We got this supposed alien bodies, supposedly. But right now, we're not having any active investigation. 30 years, 40 years later into this. However, the Roswell file still needs to be monitored and controlled by somebody in case somebody pops up somewhere around the country saying, hey, everybody, I've got a bunch of materials that came from Roswell in 1947, and I'm going to make it available to Jimmy Church so that he can come here and he can video this and put it on his radio show. And so if that happens, there's some FBI agent that's monitoring that file so that when that happens, he can say, hey, I got to talk to this guy first before Jimmy Church gets there. And we're going to see what's what. So that's a knock from the feds, another knock from the feds.
Yes.
If something like that would happen.
When did you retire? What year?
2013.
2013. So I started Fade to Black in 2013. So you wouldn't have heard anything about me then. I needed you to leave like in 2015.
So I could bring your file with me?
Yeah. I'm just wondering, how cool it is, how detailed the file is. It's got the bad stuff, but I hope it has the good stuff too. But going back to this, so like with American Airlines 2292, fresh case, boom, sighting, pilots, right? Did you get a case like that? Sighting just happened. Here's the file, and now it's go time.
Yes, we would get files of that nature, and usually they would be concurrent with the Air Force investigation file as well, and we would be told, this is here's the parallel Air Force file that's going forward at the same time. just in case you need to share information, talk to them, and get things going that way.
Now, I want to say, okay, can I get you to stay for overtime?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Okay, I'm not ready to end. While you were in the FBI, especially when you were in Washington D.C., but did you hear anything about ATIP or a secret Pentagon program that was investigating UFOs? Did any of that come to light at the FBI?
No, I never heard anything like that. Neither has anyone else that were in other areas of the FBI that I know. None of us have ever heard of that program, and not at all.
Okay, I find that interesting and very believable, by the way. But when you say here, here's the Air Force's concurrent investigation that's going on at the same time. Who at the Air Force did the Air Force have? Was it
AFOSI.
Yeah, was it AFOSI?
Yes, it would be.
And did you communicate with AFOSI directly?
Sure, we will always do that.
And I find this really interesting. Were they open with an ET component to the discussion? Right? ET, UFOs, this is not of this earth discussion, or was it always handled differently?
No.
Was it overt or covert?
No, they would always be open to that sort of discussion, but it would be in different terminology, like could it be an unknown quantity? That would be our code for this is a non-terrestrial UFO, something that's an unknown quantity or undefinable quantity, something like that. Things like that, they would say.
Were you exposed to videos and images?
Yes, always.
Okay, yeah. So don't just stop there. What did you see?
Oh, all kinds of things. Things that are even available to people today through public databases. I mean, we would always show each other videos that are known to people as well. Things like UFOs in space, UFOs in space, things that are close to the ISS, space station, that just nobody could describe what in the world they were. Things that look like what people call the Black Knight satellite, which sometimes is called a satellite, sometimes it's called a UFO, depending on who you're talking to. But if you're talking to British intelligence, they have it in their files that the Black Knight is a satellite. It was a satellite that belonged to them, like 30 years ago, and it just somehow took off on its own and has just been up there ever since, without degrading, and which is impossible. It's not possible that could be the case.
Absolutely. Just incredible. Yeah. I got to take a break right here, John. We'll pick up everything when we come back. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, John DeSouza, the X-Man. Well, we're talking about FBI's investigations into their version of the X-Files. We'll do all of that and much more when we come back for overtime. Stay with us. This is Fade to Black.
Listen to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at jimmychurchradio.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of fade to black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights. Just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today.
Hello, my name is Billy Carson, and I'm a best-selling author and the founder of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Together with my team, we have built an all-new conscious streaming TV platform designed with every family member in mind. If you have ever wanted to travel the world and attend lectures and workshops from your favorite speakers but weren't able to, look no further. TV. There are dozens of workshops and lectures from speakers you know and love. We have also included amazing categories to assure that your consciousness is entertained and elevating on a daily basis. Amazing interviews, ancient history, ascension knowledge, wisdom teachings, documentaries, conspiracies, mysteries, health and fitness, conscious cooking, meditations, finance, yoga, and so much more. To start your free trial on any mobile device or computer, surf to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4, ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Again, visit ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, John DeSouza, the X-Man, retired FBI agent, talking about the FBI's version of the X-Files. And we're heading into overtime right here. And John, this is a point in the show when I do get into overtime where I like to have fun and get a little bit looser than we are in the rest of the show. But this is some pretty heavy stuff. And I want to go back and address a couple of points that you made earlier. In FBI investigations, you had said you always see FBI agents in pairs. So that would indicate to me that you, in doing these investigations, you've got somebody that's working with you too as well.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely. Yes.
And they are also... they've been classified by the field office as being a paranormal investigator or interest into the paranormal and UFOs.
Kind of, yes.
Okay. So what kind of conversations did you have with your partner when you're looking at a photograph of a UFO and you're going into these investigations? Take me through that. How does that work?
Well, my partner was placed with me very much as a counterbalance, kind of like a Scully and Mulder and Scully type situation.
Right.
So it was a person who I can't really bring to the light because they're still serving at the bureau in the high up capacity. And so I can't, but they were basically placed with me as the scientific counterweight to my belief in these areas. And very much like the X-Files, I was able eventually to bring them around to believing in a lot of these areas. And that was, so it made for some pretty crazy conversations that were, pretty heated debate, let's put it that way. And that's the kind of thing that we went through all the time.
Did you ever have a file, a case that you were working on with a photograph tied to it, taken by the witness, that was the definitive photograph of an alien craft?
You can't really have that because there's no way to know that something is the absolute definitive picture of an alien craft. I mean, unless you count Boyd Bushman, who I had many contacts with over the years, who had many pictures of genuine alien craft that were in action. Sometimes they were in action, sometimes they weren't. But he had probably the most pictures of anyone I've ever known.
Yeah, but John, I'm referring to you in your cases. Did you look at a photograph and say, okay, that's nuts?
Not based on a picture of a UFO, because it's just there's no way to really tell anything definitive from just a picture. Video is a different story. There have been videos that have been provided to us that show all the hallmarks of absolute non-terrestrial craft. So yeah, I've seen videos that do have those qualities.
Did you do any abduction cases?
Yeah, we do abduction cases constantly. That's a large portion of the work that we do.
Really?
Yeah.
And now, and how does that turn into an FBI case?
If the person is kidnapped from federal property, or they happen to be a federal employee, or they happen to be involved with a violation of federal law, like drugs or something or anything of that sort.
Yeah, I'm not talking about kidnapping. I mean alien abduction cases.
Right. Yeah, we have. There are alien abductions that are done from involving military personnel or federal employees of whatever agency you're dealing with. That happens all the time.
And can you specifically address one of these cases? I mean, when it turns into an FBI case, it's not something that you're picking up through the media or somebody has said, I was abducted by aliens last night, and you're going to go and research. You're saying that this comes to you from another channel. Are these cases of people being abducted by aliens and taken onto a craft, and you've actually investigated a case that represents all of the hallmarks?
Yes, and according to them, that's exactly what happened. And the FBI gets these cases through. We have a little slip of paper. It's called a police cooperation request. It can come from a military commander as well of a base. And we get those pieces of paper, and they just say, we need an FBI subject matter expert to help us with this. Send one over, and we got to get this done, because usually the jurisdictional authority doesn't know what else to do. They're at the end of their rope, and they have no idea what to do with this sort of situation because they never had it before. So that's how those things come up.
How serious does your boss, whoever he or she may be, take these cases individually? I mean, is this something that's joked about, or is this, a serious thing for the FBI?
They take it very seriously, because they simply ignore the paranormal component of it. So if they see somebody claiming an alien abduction, They will simply consider it to be a straight abduction, possibly one that involving national security, because, maybe it's the craft was these supposed aliens. Maybe they were really the Russians creating something. Maybe it was really the Chinese creating something. So that's how they look at it, so that they can deal with that sort of investigation on the ground in a serious manner.
Now, and when you're doing an investigation like this, does the FBI experience their own agency coming in and running interference or getting involved with your investigation?
Sometimes we will get what I call the visit from the smoking man. The smoking man was, for me, it was a government official I used to call Mil Sud. He was a globalist official that would always be around whenever these really high level investigations would go on. And I talked about some of these high level investigations and these great cases with the great video that we just talked about. Mm-hmm. In my book, The Extra Dimensionals. That's the first place that I actually laid out these investigations, laid out what the video showed, laid out all these parameters that occurred when all of us intelligence agencies were all talking to each other about these videos, about these cases. And always the first priority was, we got to control the information. And so what would happen in a lot of these cases is we would get the visit from the smoking man that I called, who I called Masood. He sometimes claimed to be from the CIA, sometimes he claimed to be from the State Department, but all we knew was that our bosses always did whatever he wanted. I almost said a bad word. We always did whatever he wanted, and he was the guy who would come down, and we always knew when we saw that smoke coming from our boss's office, we knew that Masood was here, and it meant that he was putting a stop to whatever we did or whatever we're trying to do. And that happened. That's what happened most often with a lot of these big cases.
How do you say his name? Masood?
Masood. We used to call him Masood. That was an acronym for something that I don't even remember what it was, because we never really knew his real name. But that was what we used to call him.
But he smoked. He was
always smoking all the time in places that you're not allowed to smoke.
So the smoking man was based on an actual character, an actual individual.
Yes, that was Masood. Yeah, and he was the guy who came to us and would tell us,
Did you have did you have direct conversations with him in contact?
Just a couple of times when he wanted it. Yes.
And what did he talk about? See, and I'm asking you in this capacity. It seemed that when you looked at the X-Files, there was always one step away from the ET reality when it came to the smoking man. It never crossed the line. Everybody knew what was going on. He had an agenda. It had to do with aliens and ET. For some globalist organization, but it was never, that line was never crossed, right? Was that your experience?
Absolutely, because he had the levers of power. He had the ability to tell our bosses, this is going to happen or this is not going to happen. One day we asked him, are his orders, are they coming from the president's office? Is that where you get your orders? And he told us, no, his orders come from above the president's office. And then he walked away. And we know that there's nobody above the president's office. So that's just an example of the kind of arrogance that a person like that has. And that's how he was always able to stop whatever he wanted to stop. And he would give us, he would give me flowery speeches about how it's for the greater good. It's for the greater good. It's for people's well-being. We can't have people panicking and running wild in the streets because their version of reality they find out isn't true. That's what he would tell me.
But so it sounds like he didn't want, the investigations were fine only to a point, right?
Right.
He didn't want actual truth revealed to you. He didn't want you finding out the facts.
Yeah, well, he knew that we had the facts. He knew that we knew the truth. But he said these things couldn't go out, spread in a larger capacity to the public at large, basically.
Now, ultimately, the FBI investigates because of a criminal nature. Eventually, charges would be filed somewhere with the federal district attorney, right? A federal attorney somewhere, some district. Your investigations into the paranormal ultimately don't result in that, do they? How do you close an investigation?
Oh, most FBI investigations many FBI investigations can be closed in an indeterminate status, can be closed in a status where they were never able to get past the preliminary inquiry part. We start our investigations as preliminary inquiries. Then they're supposed to go to full investigations. Then after that, they're supposed to go to major cases. And each one of those has a different order of importance and a different order of cooperation from everyone can be demanded at that point. But many cases never get out of the first stage, preliminary inquiry. They never get out of the first stage because there's just not enough evidence. There's not enough political will. I'll have to say political will. There's not enough impetus behind them to get them to that full investigation status where most of the arrests happen and presentations to U.S. attorneys that you just said. All that stuff happens at the full investigation stage. So that's the difference that we're looking at in these. And a lot of these paranormal cases, they won't be presented to go to a higher stage. Simply because when the bosses see that the physical explanations have been exhausted and there's nothing left but the paranormal explanation, they're just not willing to promote that investigation to the next level.
So what's going to happen with American Airlines 2292? The FBI is investigating. Now that is something, it seems like you have all of the elements in play here to get to some type of finality in this case. What's going to happen with 2292?
Well, I just did the whole investigation in my head, and I wrote down the three options that we have, and I really don't see that the FBI can ultimately find a conclusion on any of the three that I put down. I put down the first possibility. This is a Space Force asset that was just testing, which would create liability on Space Force for doing this. The second possibility is that it's actually a cruise missile. It was a cruise missile that had a near miss against the United States airline. That I don't think they could come to that conclusion. I don't think they could do that because that would be an act of war. That would involve the Pentagon. That would involve, tremendous assets. And I don't think they're ready to do that. And then the third conclusion that they could come up with, that this is part of the continuing UAP campaign to gin up fear of these UFOs and to lead us towards fake alien invasion. I don't think they can come to that conclusion either because this group is just too powerful. They're too powerful, and they include too many institutions that's doing this, if that's the case. So I say all that to say this. I don't think the FBI is going to come to any conclusions on this that help anybody. I think and that goes right back, Jimmy, to what I said. We need independent investigators to take this kind of investigation on.
Well, the fourth conclusion is that it's an ET craft, that it is something from.
That's correct. That is correct, and I think that would probably be the safest conclusion for them to come to if they come to any sort of conclusion. So yeah, maybe they'll end up coming to that one, or they'll use the mind control phrase that is used by this group. This proves that we are not alone in the universe.
Now, what about yes? Isn't there, especially over New Mexico, and I mean more so than New York or Los Angeles, there's got to be a ton of radar installations there. There's got to be an accountability about what was not exactly what the craft was, but that there was an object there that was being tracked on radar, right?
Of course. That's why it's ridiculous for the FBI not to come to a quick conclusion on this thing, because they got lots of radar over there, and not only that, they've got radar prints. They've got prints that show what the exhaust from a cruise missile looks like. They can do a match, like a fingerprint match. They can match it up and see, was this a cruise missile or not? They could resolve that with the radar in very short order, or they could explore other possibilities using all that radar that's going on over there. So it's just too bad that we're living at a time when I don't trust what the FBI is doing at all.
Now, isn't this a situation where, I mean, I would assume that if I'm the president of the United States right now, it's President Biden, but something like this happens in American airspace, that the president says, wait a minute, what's going on here? Doesn't the president have weight in this? Isn't there a way for him to make sure that we find out exactly what went on in the skies over New Mexico?
Yeah, that should be a very simple one, and really it should never even need to get to the level of the president. This should be resolved. This should be resolved at lower levels than that, and there's no excuse why it wouldn't be, unless they just want to keep this unresolved for a period of time, going into the 6-month countdown to disclosure that's going on, I think, till June.
Yes.
I think it's coming out in June. And that I would say would be the only reason that they wouldn't just do a quick turnaround on this investigation and say exactly what happened.
Now, here we are. I just got a couple of minutes left with you, John, and thank you. It's been a great conversation tonight. Are we in the days of disclosure? Not the 2017 New York Times version of disclosure. We're now in 2021. Are we in the days of disclosure now? Is this what the UFO community has been waiting for?
No, not this. Not the 6-month countdown. No, I don't think it is at all. But I still think that disclosure is coming. But it's coming from an unexpected place.
What's that?
It'll be coming Space Force. I think it's going to be coming from Space Force. And it'll be coming from them in a short order, basically. And they'll be revealing with technology, alien tech, and with things that can actually help us.
Help me understand what you're suggesting here. Why would it? Okay, alien tech, but what do you mean the Space Force? The Space Force is going to have evidence, photographs, videotape? Are they going to get attacked? Or what do you mean? Its disclosure is going to come from the Space Force? What definitive thing would happen from the Space Force?
I think Space Force is going to come up with materials from crafts and materials from even from other places where they will be able to show alien tech, demonstrate it, and even disperse it to the American public as well.
What did you make of? And I've just got a minute. Dr. Eric Davis, a couple of months ago in the New York Times, Leslie Kane and Ralph Blumenthal wrote another article. And buried in the article, down at the bottom, there was a quote from Dr. Eric Davis where he said, quoting, that he briefed the United States Senate and told them that our military was in possession of crashed flying saucers. That's a pretty bold statement, but it was buried in the article. But it was there with like zero follow-up from the media, and nobody went back and asked Dr. Eric Davis where he got his information from. But it was obviously vetted because the New York Times thought that they could print it, and they did. What did you make of that quote from Dr. Eric Davis, and what do you think he was talking about?
Well, I don't really trust anything that's from this group that has been associated with TTSA. I don't trust any of them, and I don't trust anything that the New York Times puts forward either. So that's kind of like distrust times 2 squared, even. So I don't really think that that's taking us anywhere good either.
Well, there you go. Okay, so now what's going on with you? I know that you've got the new film that is out that is Countdown to Disclosure. Excellent film, by the way. What is coming up next for you?
Well, I'm still got my my film out, my movie out, 1,000 Pieces. 1,000 Pieces on Vimeo, on demand. I would ask anybody to go there and get and General Flynn and many other people who were targeted by the deep state and how they went after us and what they tried to do to us and how we ultimately escaped also. So that's a very, very interesting thing. I would ask people to go to Vimeo.com on demand and enter code DeSouza Gift for 20% off.
There you go.
See 1,000 pieces. And other than that, I also would ask people to check out John Tama books from the author. Take 20% discount using code FBI.
That's what I'm talking about. John DeSouza. Thank you so much. I don't know. It's been so long since I've seen you in person and the pandemic and everything else, but I look forward to hanging out with you and Bella once again and Rita and I, and we've got to do it as soon as we can.
Cool, Jimmy. Thanks so much. Thanks to you and the Fadernauts. You guys are awesome.
You're the best, John. Thank you so much. And there you go, John DeSouza, the X-Man, and John's link is right there, John Tama Books, over at jimmychurchradio.com. And with that, we just went pole to pole in overtime. Great conversation tonight. I'm going to get out of here. Want to remind everybody what's going on tomorrow night. Of course, we have Jim Harold from the Paranormal Podcast. And so that's tomorrow night. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Kamurian. Show's produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitola, Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboys, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication is KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast owned and copyrighted 2021 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. We'll see everybody tomorrow night with Jim Harold. Until then, be safe. It's time to Fade to Black.